Hello everyone, I am Kelsey and I'm going to show you how I apply a Jamberry nail wrap sample, or accent nail, if you will. First I'm going to tell you what you're going to need in order to apply the samples, and then I'm going to give you some kind of tips and tricks that I like to use in order to get the best application. So you're going to need some sort of heat source. I have the Jamberry mini heater. You can use a hair dryer. You can also use a heating pad. You can use one of those bean bags that you warm up, rice bags, anything like that that's going to be hot enough to make it stick. You'll also need some Jamberries. I've got my Monster Mash for Halloween. You'll need something to push your cuticles back with. I have this from the Jamberry application kit, but you can get these at Walmart or things like that places like that if you want. Nail files. I know it sounds like a plug, but we have the best nail files ever. And some sort of scissor to cut the wrap with. Some extras that I have that I like to use. I've got this rubber cuticle pusher. I really like it. Just because it's kind of gentle. I'll show you when I put mine on when I use it. I also use our cuticle remover. I love this thing. It's a cuticle remover pen. I don't know how it works. It's like magic, but it's awesome. And I have rubbing alcohol swabs. You can use dish soap if you'd rather, or you can use the alcohol wipes. I like to use both just to make sure it'll take the oil and grease off of your nails. That's why you have to use dish soap as opposed to regular hand soap, because it'll cut that grease. If your nails are oily, it's not going to stick. And then you may want to use a nail clipper. These are my kid nail clippers because that's about all I have these days. It's just kind of a preferred method on your application. So I have already used the cuticle remover pen to remove my cuticles. I also took my cuticle remover and pushed back my cuticles. So my nails are prepped and ready to go. I did already wash them with dish soap also. I haven't used the alcohol swab yet though. So I'm just going to put one on for you today. I'm going to do my ring finger. I'm just going to get some alcohol on there, and then I want it to dry. So while it's drying, I'm going to take my jams, and I'm going to, it's got clear backing so that you can line it up with your nails to see which one fits best on which of your nails. I know which one works for me. I'm going to use the second one for my ring finger. One thing that you may need to do if it's not exactly right, you may need to cut some off. I have it to where my nails are all just a little bit smaller than the suggested size for each nail. So I actually have to cut all of mine a little bit. I'm just going to take scissors and kind of eye it because I do this all the time. So I'm just kind of comfortable with it. I know that it's going to be fine. I'm not a perfectionist, so it doesn't really bother me if it's not exactly right. If you are a perfectionist, one way to get a good sizing would be to take a piece of Scotch tape and put it on your finger and trace along the edge with a pen. And then you can take that piece of Scotch tape and put it over the jam and cut it to where it's exactly the size that you're going to want. Okay, how do I size it? You want it to be a little bit smaller than your actual nail. You don't want it to be touching the sides of your fingers at all. So you want it to be touching nail only. So I'm going to kind of put it over here and double check. I might need to cut a little bit more off so that it's not going to be touching my skin. All right, so I'm going to cut it. You can cut it in half. I like to cut it while the plastic is still on. Because you don't want to touch the plastic, I'm sorry, not the plastic, the sticky backing with your fingers, because then you're just putting oil on there, and that's kind of defeating the purpose of washing your hands the way that we did. So I'm touching the back because it's still got the lining on it. So I'm going to take my cuticle pusher to get that off without touching the back. You can use tweezers if you don't have one of these. You're just going to do it until you can get the back off. Now, if you touch the top with your finger, it'll be okay because you are going to cut some of it off. It's going to be longer than your actual fingernail. So I've got it off, sticky side, and then you're going to heat the sticky side for 3 to 5 seconds. If you've got metallics, you want to heat them a little bit longer. You just kind of heat them. My heater's not quite hot yet. You're just going to heat them for a couple of seconds. It'll start to kind of fold. See how it's bendy? You can turn your heater off. And then I'm just going to place my jam on my fingernail. And if I don't like where it's at, see how I have all this extra? I can touch that part because I'm going to cut it off. So if I don't like where it's at, I can pick it up, I can lift it off, keep putting it back on, as long as you don't have polish underneath. If you have a wrap that you're using, maybe like a clear wrap that you're putting over a finger that has polish on, you're not going to be able to pick it up and put it back on because it'll take the polish with it and then it won't be sticky anymore. So if you're doing one of those, you want to get it right, exactly right the first time. So I picked it up and I moved it. I'm getting it where I want it to be. And then I'm going to take my soft cuticle pusher and push from the middle up and then just push on the sides. I will show you here in a second how I've got some nail showing on the sides. That's perfectly fine. I don't know if you can tell, but see, you can see the little white tip of my nail. That's good because I know that it's not touching. All right, so I pushed it down hard. If you don't have this, you can just use your finger, your thumb from your other nail. And then I like to pull and stretch. That's a method. So with that extra, I'm just going to pull it, stretch it. It kind of gets the bubbles out. Don't pull too hard. It'll come off. If it comes off, no big deal. Just put it back on. And then I'm going to cut off the excess. Now, I'm not going to make it perfect. It doesn't matter because this isn't the final step. So I'm just cutting it off so it's just not as much excess. And then I'm going to take my nail file and I'm going to file off the rest. So what you want to do is you want to go in a downward motion and you want to go kind of at a little bit of an angle, and that's just because if you go straight down, you may have some tips that didn't get off right and they'll start sticking to things, and you don't want that to happen. So if you do it at a little bit of an angle, they'll go, you'll have a little bit of nail showing on the tips, but that's okay because you won't have any sticking and tips being too long and such. So you just file until it falls off. The excess fell off. I don't know if you can tell. But here's my little, sorry for the text messages. My little jam, it's so cute. All right, so the final step is to heat it with your heat source again. And I am going to actually use a baggie. I don't know if I showed you this, that I had a baggie, but I like to use the baggie method where you just kind of wrap the baggie around your finger and then heat it, and it just kind of vacuum seals the Jamberry around the tips. So if the tips are a little bit too long or whatever, it'll curve it and make it stick better. And you just do it for another like 3 to 5 seconds till it feels too hot. And I've got my nice little sample on. So if you go throughout the day and you notice something's sticking out or it wasn't perfect or whatever, you can, that's when I use nail clippers, just kind of clip off the excess. You can always reheat it if you feel like it's coming up, but as long as you've got some extra space in between your nail and your finger and you've heated it well, it should be good to go. Thanks.